following podcast may contain strong language. Listener discretion is advised.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Hallmark of Greatness, the podcast that rides aggressively down the psychopath of Hallmark movies. I'm Joe, and with me as always, she runs a door-to-door business where she sells doors door-to-door from her house. It's Barney.
I work with Dr. Derek Doors.
The door doctor. And the woman who's a medical miracle, born 2 days before her own mother, it's Katie.
Yep, here I am.
Katie's new obsession is just laughing at how old these women are in Hallmark. If you would like to keep up to date with all the Hallmark of Greatness gossip, you can follow us on Twitter at Hallmark of Great, all one word, or we are on Instagram and Facebook at Hallmark of Greatness. If you have a autumn Hallmark or made-for-TV film you want us to review, send us an email at hallmarkgreatness@gmail.com. Wow, everyone.
I'm fed up of being hot now. That's why I wanted to watch an autumn film. I feel a bit cooler.
Well, this one is very autumny. There's lots of oranges and browns, and everyone seems to live in like Stars Hollow from the Gilmore Girls, which sounds great until you want to do something after like 6 o'clock at night and everything's shut and it's just, oh great, another fucking hay ride. Or in this case, pumpkin jamboree ride or whatever. Yeah.
I sat on hay bales this weekend and they weren't comfortable at all. I don't
No,
understand
they
the
really
appeal.
aren't.
And they get in your drink as well.
They did. They just filled up my cup with my cider with hay. That's not ideal.
I'm allergic as well, so sitting on it, you just stay with a scratchy ass then for the rest of the night.
Just put seating out, innit? Isn't there a thing where they're using them as toilets on like festivals, like for men?
What, hay?
Yeah, they put like a couple of hay bales and you all just wee into them, and then they take them away and use them for fertilizer or something because wees are good.
Ew.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's no worse than the other ones I've been to at festivals where it's 4 urinals like in a crossroads, so you've got to make eye contact with a guy slashing opposite you. That was uncomfortable, especially when he tries to start up a conversation. I was like, this no. I'm just going to hold it in all weekend.
Yeah.
So if my
Go
bladder
behind your
explodes, do it in the tent.
Yeah. That's
It's
what
got a little
festivals
hole.
are all about, innit? You got a hole.
Shitting in tents. Speaking of shitting in tents, which we're not, this week's film chosen by Bernadette, because I'm going to twist that
putting
knife.
my name to it.
Twist that knife. 2020's Sweet Autumn, starring Nikki Deloach and Andrew W. KD? No, Andrew W. Walker, sadly. Would have been better if Andrew W. KD was in it. He'd have partied hard. Barney, your synopsis for Sweet Autumn.
Autumn Smith is a kind and caring woman who helps everybody in their hour of need. Whilst trying to organise a bake sale for the church roof, she trips over Chip Rascal's dog and breaks her leg. Chip, guilty as hell, tries to bake enough cakes to sell, but it's calamity in the kitchen. He seeks advice from his ethnic best friend, and they get the whole small town to rally round Sweet Autumn to make it the best bake sale ever.
Said it before, say it again. These are supposed to be funny. It actually sounds like a film that I have seen, I think. Yeah. The actual synopsis for this film. Aunt Dee splits her candy shop between her niece Maggie and maple farmer, which is a job, Dex, short for dextrose. Following letters Dee left, the two uncover the reasons for her decision during the Sweet Autumn Festival. Even from beyond the grave, she's meddling.
It's very P.S. I love you, but shit.
Yeah, like,
Very
fuck
shit.
off, I love you. PTO.
Zero effort.
Interfering
Yes,
old
I love
woman.
I said even the father video that she done, like when I was like, stop doing bits in your fucking funeral video. But anyway, we'll get to that. As we always do with these films, we start off at autumn tree and pan down into.
Before we start, do Americans know autumn?
They call
I
it
thought they call
fall.
it fall, yeah.
Yeah.
The film's called Sweet Autumn. Is
That's
it called
what I thought
Sweet
as well.
Fall in America? Sweet
Um,
Fall.
I don't think it was. I think it was just. I think just because Sweet Fall doesn't sound as.
It sounds
good.
like Aunt Dee's fallen over.
And she can't get up.
Just full of sweets. Ah.
No, it was called Sweet Autumn. Yeah, I mean they know what autumn is. They just choose not
Yeah.
to use it. They just call it fall, like trunk and sidewalk.
Does leaf fall down?
Leaf fall down.
Someone said to me the other day, it's like British people call it lifts because it lifts you up. I said, well, what do you think elevator mean? Just means it elevates. It's the same thing. Don't, you know.
There's a
beans on
Michael
toast.
McIntyre joke about American English, isn't there, where he says it like adds more specifics onto the language. So it's like horse riding versus horseback riding because they needed to know where on the horse you were.
Just being dragged behind it.
Yeah, on the tail. Like, oh god. Jump rope instead of skipping rope because they need to know what to do with it. Jump.
But you
over
skip
it.
over it though. No. Well, no, you jump.
No,
don't
you jump.
Well, you can do
yeah.
that weird plop plop skip though. Can't plop plop. You
Plop,
know,
plop.
you do 1 foot at a time. Not
Pull
if you-
over instead of a jump over because you have to pull it over your head.
All right,
Those are
we're gonna get sued at this rate
By who? America.
by Michael McIntyre for stealing his material that I'm fairly sure he stole from someone else.
Probably.
It does go by other names, which I haven't translated, but in France it was l'associé au croqueur, which I assume is something to do with pancakes. The Association of Pancakes. But yes, we start in this as we always do with the tree, a lovely autumn tree, and pan down to some of the worst acting I've ever seen.
Child actors, I hate them.
Aunt D, mate, like you've lived to be 1,000 years old, Henriette Evans. Get good at acting. It's the first Sweet Autumn Festival because Aunt D runs a candy store.
Yeah.
It took me ages to realise they were saying Aunt D and not just Auntie. And I thought that wasn't a very white people thing to say, you know, like
Well, I've been
What's
watching a lot of
aunties
like
do?
Indian
Yeah.
wedding things and they go auntie, and I thought that's what they were saying.
I
as well,
thought,
to
yeah, I
be
thought
fair.
it was like an Indian thing to call everyone an auntie.
Don't
Auntie.
get me started on Indian aunties after fucking the other weekend at that wedding. Hey.
Are
30
you watching
women.
Indian Matchmakers? Sorry.
No. I watched about 4 episodes of the first season and it just made me want to kill people.
I watched it and now I've opened Indian Netflix, so I've got everything now.
Has it got all the soap operas on it?
Not yet. I'm aiming
Oh.
for that.
No, don't. I mean, if you want, you can just go up to the foreign channels, up to like Stars and stuff, because they're on there constantly. Nothing happens in them. There's just lots of reaction shots. You see how little we care about this film? We're now trying to talk about something else. Yeah, we've got to plow through it though. We can talk about Indian Love Island or whatever it is. Indian Peninsula of cuddling.
So Aunt D presents him with a music box.
Yeah, it's the
With-
most treasured thing in the world.
And inside it, it's got a poem, and it kind of like. Did you think the words went with the music, or is that me? It was like,
No.
Oh, are you trying to sing along to it?
I was trying to sing along. I can't remember the lyrics now, but it was like, she's an owl.
You're an owl.
Who?
I thought the music went with the poem, but apparently not. I don't think.
No, I don't think it was that complex. But yeah, they're setting up this first section. She's doing it in her front garden because you have to do a trial run sometimes, apparently. And this is supposed to be deep
You have
and
to
meaningful.
start small to go big.
Yeah. And the kids are like, great. And they're eating a load of sweets with these wrappers that have like fortune cookie style wrappers. Like, they have
Yes.
like incredibly poignant and Magic 8-Ball style like phrases
Well,
on the
the
inside.
first one says, "Don't just test the waters, make waves."
I know this is when she's an adult and she like is about to go into a meeting and she reads that and then she like nods really meaningful, like, I will make waves. I will.
I've got to where I am in life by following this mystical fucking chocolate fairy. Yeah, just always knows when to say it. Yeah, and then we cut to in the future. It's 30 years later in apparently Minnesota that looks an awful lot like Manitoba, but whatever. And she's in this. She's sitting there. She is now an investment banker.
Yeah, I don't understand what that job is really.
I think it's just like being one of them pricks off The Apprentice.
She
Because they
wants to
just do
expand
branding.
Other people's companies and shit. That's
I think they get investment for people's ideas. So it's sort of like Dragon's Den.
But they
Like-
have to go out and speak to the dragons, sort of thing, to get the
Yeah. So they're the middleman between the creative and the money, I think.
Right.
And then they skim off loads because, you know,
That's what
people
they
in
do.
suits, in it. Yeah. She's supposed to be meeting with, is he called Ron?
Jonathan.
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 Yeah. Again, who
Jonathan.
apparently is her ex. And I'm sorry, but there's some nonsense going on there whenever that relationship was happening because he's about 70, isn't he, if he's a day.
Yeah.
And he arrives late. She's sitting there. She gets this inspirational chocolate, and it's like, also don't test the waters, make waves. That's not good. If you don't know how deep something is, don't just jump in. There could be sharks or one of them spinny turbines. You don't want to get rip tides. Yeah, anything. He arrives. Then this lady arrives, who is
Ella.
from
Ella's Pumpkin Patch.
Ella's Pumpkin Patch, who makes pumpkin pies, and that's it. Nothing else.
Pumpkin spice things.
Nope, just pumpkin pies. That's all she makes.
That's right. But they wanted her to create other pumpkin spice.
And they're like, we've put 3 months' work into this. I'm assuming you're getting paid. It's not pro bono. And they were like, we want you to do pumpkin spice drinks, hats,
candles. You could have just walked around B&M and got ideas from there. It didn't take 3 months.
Rubber Johnnies, And she's like, no, this isn't what I wanted. And I'm like, what did you want, Ella? What did you want?
Speaking to investment bankers, what do you expect?
Yeah, they're not going to be like, okay, just have some money to just make more pies. And she said, my family started this over, 1920-something, and we've just made pumpkin pies since then, and that's enough. And I don't know why I've done this. And I'm like, this is a waste of everyone's time then.
Thanks, Ella.
Yeah, you prick. She's like, well, Maggie, who is now, the main focus of this, Maggie Fringe, is like, no, we've put 3 months' work in this. I'll get her to turn it round. I'll have a word with her, and we'll be able to go national and sell other products and all this shite, which I guess is what you want. I don't know.
But she's got to go home because Aunt Dee's dead.
But yeah, before that, Auntie has died. Auntie D, we'll call her.
Auntie D. And Auntie D.
Anton Deek has done a die, and she has to go back for the will reading, even though
exactly 6 months later.
Yeah, which
happens to be the beginning of the festival that she created. So
she had to. She had to time her death as well. So she
Aunt D kill herself. Do you reckon?
Stick them letters all over the shop.
She was like, I can't think of any more inspirational quotes to put inside my candy.
She's just writing mad shit in there now. Like sausages for breakfast? Question mark. Yeah.
There's no point to life anymore.
In the last couple of boxes she sent out, it was her suicide note if you piece them together. I'm sorry. Fell into a vat of molten maple syrup. Yeah, exactly 6 months she goes back, meets her sister, who has stayed in this town, runs an antique shop with her husband, who
is black.
Yeah, so
which
that's
is
one
unusual. Yeah,
in these films, yeah.
And he's actually quite tries to be funny.
He can act. That's the thing, isn't it? He gets his little bits in. And she's like, they run an antique shop together. She's like, oh, you're here for the will reading. Oh, and then you'll be going, I guess. And she's like, yeah, I've got stuff to do. I don't want to stay in this backwards hellhole any longer than I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
She's walking down the street. She's on her phone to, I'm assuming, Jonathan. And then some guy's revving his motorbike engine. We've met this guy previously as he drives away from a farm where he lives with his dad, and his dad's obsessed with dominoes. Just wants to play dominoes every day, just constantly. And he's revving his engine, trying to figure out what's wrong with his thing. And she's like, oh, excuse me a second, there's a very rude man here. And I'm like, it's a street. You don't own the street.
And it wasn't even that loud.
Because you know why? Because it was ADR'd on over the top, that engine revving. As were all the weird children noises in this, were all ADR'd on. Because they were all, one of them was the noise from the start of Teletubbies, I'm sure. The little baby laughing, I'm sure it was. And she's like, oh, maybe it's your spark plug. And he's like, no, it's this. And they're like, oh, we hate each other now. Oh, because I'm a strong, independent character, and so's he. And we can't both be strong, because one of us has to submit to the other, I guess. She goes to this goddamn will reading, and
just full of gags and japes.
It's just full of bits. There's loads of people there, and yet only three people get anything.
Four, because Dex's dad gets the motorbike.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
So the antique shop is paid off. Dex's dad, that's what I have to say, gets a motorbike.
Derek Domino. Yeah, he gets her motorbike, and they, Maggie and Dex, get the candy shop split between them.
50-50.
And they've never met each other, so this is, apart from when she called him a rude, arrogant prick or whatever he did.
But also, she hates him because he didn't go to the funeral. He didn't go to Andy's funeral.
Andy's late, and she's always very punctual.
Do we know Dex's relationship to Aunt D? Did I miss it?
They moved it. Ron and Dex moved to town like 2 years ago from somewhere in the Midwest. It was all explained. I remember this because I was like, huh? And they just became friends. They bought the maple syrup ranch. Question mark? Is that what it's
A
called?
farm? They keep going on about a farm. Is it a maple syrup
Trees
farm?
Grove. And yeah, they became friends. Which doesn't hurt in a town if you make sugar to sell it to someone who uses sugar, I guess.
Yeah.
Then you get the power.
Well,
Then you get the women.
If they only moved there 2 years ago and she died 6 months ago, they've only known each other a year and a half and she's giving half a shop away.
Well, this is the point. She was like, you didn't really know her. And, you know, she was my auntie. And he's like, yeah, but in that time I knew her. We became close friends and she became like a mother to me. And she's like, don't know about that.
And then they were raised as auntie's daughters. So I was like, so they're
After their
basically
parents
brother and sister.
died in a car crash. I think they said in a big wreck.
Oh.
Could have been a shipwreck.
Shipwreck.
That would
Could
have
have
been.
been. I was just thinking, was it a
Hovercraft
boat?
catastrophe.
They tried
Maybe
to
they-
make waves and they jump.
Maybe they were on Titanic too.
Maybe.
Oh, imagine reading that Werther's rapper though about making waves and you just break down in tears because that's how your parents died.
Also, right, if she's paid off the antique shop, but they've been paying their mortgage for the past 2 years, where's that money gone?
Ah, it's sweet.
I don't know. But yeah. But all the way through this, Aunt D is doing bits all the way through it. So like she says, Ron, you get my motorbike. And he goes, thanks, D. And she goes, don't talk back, this is a tape. And I'm like, this is very well timed for someone like...
And he's like, oh, D.
Yeah.
Silly
But there's
sausage.
a load of other people sat there waiting for something. And no, nothing.
Don't get nothing.
Waiting for a thimble collection. It never came. And...
No
But
one
they
says
also
what happens
make-
to her house as well. And
Isn't her
Debbie
house
lives in it.
attached to the shop?
Oh, is it?
I think. I don't know.
Well, question. Because Maggie...
Tell me what do you think about this?
Maggie stays there, doesn't she? And then that morning,
No,
the
that's a,
sister-
They break in.
they break in and make breakfast, eat a mouthful, and go. So whose house is she in there then? Is
that must be
I think she's- yeah.
Aunt
right? Okay, so that's attached to the.
D's. We get a new section there as well when they break in the house. But before we get to that new section, they also make a point of saying that Aunt D was fastidious and had copies of everything, right?
Yes.
Because that comes into play later on for something that
For
could very
minor
easily have been
aspect.
solved with like just a penknife, I think.
So
yeah, they're
be
looking-
great for summer.
Yeah. They're looking round and she's got like 20 pairs of glasses because she's always got a spare in every room and things like that. So it,
Yeah,
like,
just
makes
put
a
on a
big
little
deal.
chain around your neck, Aunt D. That'd save you time, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, the next morning they break in and we get, for the first time ever in a Hallmark film, not just a big salad, but a big fruit salad.
Rah, rah, rah.
But she's taking it out with salad tongs and it's like one bit of melon. Lovely.
I know, and it's like
One
she's
bit.
really awkward with it as
I
well,
was
isn't
like,
she? They're
just
like,
use a fucking spoon. You're going to want some juice anyway, aren't you?
Well, they must have been like, this will be a salad, and then they put fruit in it. She's like, well, I can't do it. These are not what these are intended for.
But yeah, she tries to hit them with a broom in a funny bit, I guess. And they're like, no, you have to go
We
and
got up at
see
6 to make you breakfast.
all this fruit and a big fork. She decides to go to the sweet shop, Aunt D's shop. It's not really got a name, has it? It's just called Aunt D's.
yeah.
I just realised they could, if they released a line of peanut brittle or something, they could call it D's Nuts.
Nice.
Thanks. I've just thought of that now. And yeah, she goes in and we meet Eddie, is he called?
Zach.
So, I'm terrible with it. Who is another black person in this town? So
What?
way to go, Stars Hollow. And he's like the comedy one.
Yes.
Him and Dex are doing stuff, taking out samples to this festival that's starting.
And she wants to get all involved, doesn't she? And starts handing them out.
She basically wants Dex to love her. It's like she forces herself on him.
I think this is her plan because doesn't she send a text to her ex, saying something like, I'm going to work on him because he's against the expansion.
Yes,
wants to say local. And so she says, I'm going to work on the maple guy. And so then she becomes obnoxious to him. by
Oh,
trying
mate,
to be nice.
so obnoxious. Yeah, that's the thing. He wants to keep it local and use local products and stuff. And she's like, but we can franchise this. We can sell it around the world. You know, we'll be this time next year we'll be millionaires. And he's like, well, that's not what Aunt D wanted. And then she's like, well, you don't know what Aunt D wanted. And that's the whole dynamic of this, is fighting over a dead woman's memory, I guess.
Who did leave it quite cryptic. She said that I want to see how it grows in I
Yeah,
can't remember
well,
what
we
she
all know
said.
what
She
Auntie
says something
wanted
crazy.
because she's fucking lake housed this shit, hasn't she?
Yes.
They both find it in boxes of. So see, because they said, "Oh, here's the shop," and some boxes of stuff as well. Because they both get boxes from the estate containing envelopes with
Yeah.
only open on the dates in question, which
Yes.
like the world's worst advent calendar.
I know in the first letter as well. So they all say day. They say for the festival at the beginning, and then they say the day. And then the first letter she opens, it goes, "Open them on the corresponding day." You're like, "Thanks, dear. I already
Lucky
got
she
that."
got that one right, innit? Then start at the
Oh,
end and
no.
work backwards. See, I've got no patience, so I'd have opened them all up and gone,
I
I'm not
would
ended up
not.
with that prick. No, I'm going home. I'll sell it. So yeah, the first one is, go to the shop and get to know each other sort of stuff. And you're like, So they go out, they're handing out full-size bottles of maple syrup to people.
Yeah, which is odd. Without his name on it, which is a bit.
Considering he doesn't want to sell it, no, but he'll happily give it away for free.
It's about the community, isn't it? And
I know, but if I'm handed something with no label on, I'm a bit suspicious.
yeah, it's like that pink sauce that was doing the rounds on the internet a while back. Yeah. But also, how is he making money to maintain the trees? You don't need to put like tree juice on them and make them grow and stuff. I don't know. Like,
It's all the hay from the festival that the men have been pissing on. This
the circle of life.
that down. Yeah.
Piss syrup.
I've written in my notes, he wants to keep it local and she wants to take it nationwide, like a clam might. What that means?
I don't know. Only you know what that means.
Like a clam.
The nationwide clam, of course.
Well, I think I was bored.
Yeah. I mean, all the way through this, I was doodling. And they're like, "Oh, this is great," and then they go fishing.
No, the second letter tells them that they need some inspiration, so they go to Inspiration Cafe and they accidentally bump into each
That's
other.
right.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, because
But I went, this is the darkest cafe in the world, and I hadn't realised my Kindle screen had turned the brightness really down at that point, and I was squinting at it.
just for ugly people, that cafe. Yeah, they sit there and they're like, "Oh, why not? Yeah, why don't we make new flavors?"
And she just forces him to have some sort of cocktail as well.
Oh, that sounded awful.
It did.
Was it triple sec or Grand Marnier with maple syrup? So it's like orange and then more sweet stuff on. No.
But if Dex has lived there for that long, the waitress would know who he is, and she would just like, "Oh, sorry, sir." And I was like, "No, you just call him Dex, wouldn't you?"
No, it was formal at Inspiration Cafe.
Inspiration Cafe in the pitch black.
Yeah, it's one of those sensory things where like that you have to eat food in the blindness so that your taste is heightened. No,
Right,
it's
now
awful.
now they go
I don't like
fishing.
that because that would be awful. Wouldn't they could put anything on that plate and you wouldn't know?
Put unlabeled maple syrup on your food.
Oh.
So one person in that town gets sick from tainted maple syrup, right? It's all coming back to him.
But how often do you eat maple syrup? Like
Americans eat a lot, don't they? They like maple syrup with bacon and.
It's worth $500 million a year. It's a market. Do you not know that?
I'm pretty sure she tells us that.
Yeah.
Just like a clam would.
The maple syrup clam. Yeah, and then they go fishing, and then this bit was genuinely quite good because I thought it was quite good. Like it was because they sort of open up. Zach explains about was it Heather?
Yeah.
Who I thought was Dex's dead wife or something, but I thought that's a bit dark, isn't it? But the way that he was like, "Oh, I didn't say anything," and I was like, "Okay." So they go fishing. They stood next to each other while fishing, which I don't think you meant to do because then your lines are going to get all tangled up. But whatever.
Yeah,
I
but
thought that was going to be the joke at the end, to be honest.
Well,
And
it could have been because they both caught a fish, so it could have
at the
been.
same time. Yeah, that's what I thought they were going to reel in each other's line, and then I'd be like, but no, it just cuts away to a big boot and a.
Tired.
Well, yeah, he explains that he was in love with Heather. They went out for like a year, but then he realised when D-Day died on D's death day, that life is short and it's only worth spending with people you truly care about. And he said that to Heather, and Heather was like, no, I'm only here for your sweet, sweet maple syrup. Because she's what's known in the business as a syrup whore. So she left, and he was like, I'm still not okay with that. That's why I didn't go to the funeral, because it reminded me too much of that. And she's like, oh, so you're not a prick? And he's like, nah, I still am. And then, like, she explains that all this, and it was like a nice bit of heart to heart that had some nice backgrounds. It was near a lake. It was very pretty.
I think at this point they were both trying to get to know each other, but with bad intentions. I think they were both trying to like.
She literally says, "I'm trying to get you to tell me about you, and you're doing the same to me."
Yeah,
and that's my job. She says
they want to charm each other into going with their own plan instead of each other's plan. So they're all like, "No, you tell me about you. No, you tell me about you," and then neither of them want to really. And it's quite.
Day 3. Are we on now?
I don't know. I just know that it's Dexy's birthday and she
goes
to
she's
give him some chocolates out of the shop. How nice!
Oh, it's like I used to work for Costco and I got a bottle of booze off the shelf for Christmas. So obviously you go for the biggest one, don't you? The next day. Costco. Well, no, Costco, not Costco. So the next day he's like, "Oh, I have to go do something. It's important." And he's not in the shop, and she's there fanning about with Zach, who just seems to be carrying boxes constantly. That's all he does, is just moving.
Well, he does that and web design, because that comes up later.
We don't know that yet. That's his secret Captain Planet skill later on.
No, he showed her. He designed the web for Aunt Dee.
Oh, I must have blinked and missed that section. And then he comes in and he's like, "Oh, I went to see Heather. We had a chat, and I feel like a big weight's been lifted off my shoulders." And I'm like, "Okay, weird. But, we're all growing. We're all learning as people." He goes home to his log cabin, because he's a man, he has to live in a log cabin with bearskin rugs, dominoes hewn from the earth themselves. And Maggie's there with his dad playing dominoes because he's obsessed. And he's like, "Oh, it's your favorite cake. It's maple and fucking maple cake."
So much diabetes.
I said, how is everyone in this town not really fat, no teeth? Yeah, and just constantly with an insulin pump on him constantly. And she went, "It's your birthday, you didn't tell us." And he's like, "Well, it's my birthday."
Because I don't like you, that's why.
Yeah. Why would I tell you my birthday? And then they have a bit of a chat, and it's like, ugh. And then this is we both sort of like each other now. Let's sort of work to a common goal, which we still haven't established what the common goal is, whether it is to keep it local, whether it is to go global.
Is this the bit where she talks about her first venture as an investment banker, or is that?
Yes. This is something I cared deeply about, like a baby papoose, but for cats.
For dogs, for small dogs.
The dogs. Oh, right.
And the name of it, it's a baby sling, but for small dogs, called Pup Slings.
Pup Sling.
And the first 13 people laughed me out the door, and the 14th said yes. And then he's like, "Oh, I've seen Pup Slings on
wow,
the
you're the creative genius behind Pup Sling." And she's like, "Yeah. Fucking." And I did look it up, and they do exist. They're not called pup slings, but there are little harnesses you can put dogs in and carry them around.
What are they called?
Dog harnesses, like dog papooses. I don't think there's a proprietary brand of them. There probably is.
Have you seen the dog slings for the car where it makes them sit up like human?
You're not meant to do that because it's really bad for the backs, apparently.
Yeah, it doesn't look good on their backs, but it does make them look cute.
It looks adorable, but I don't want to give my dog spine compression, so...
Oh, well, you're boring.
I know. I want my animal to be happy. More, take that pup sling. I'll see you in court.
Just imagining you with a Sam in a pup sling, just walking around them going...
Covered in hair.
Put
him in an IKEA bag, cut the holes out for the legs, and just scoot them along like that.
Where are we up to?
I think she's phoned Jonathan and said, "Can you send me some of Ella's pumpkin goodness so I can show Dex what we're capable of?" The pies arrive and he's like, "These aren't." She's like, "We can sell them in the shop." He's like, "But these aren't local. Why would I want that?" And I'm, well, because what does this town have? A dark cafe, a candy shop, and a fucking load of trees with holes in them.
It's not a pie shop, though, is it?
That's what I'm saying. You've no pie shop.
But pumpkin pies, once autumn's over, you're not going to want pumpkin pie after Thanksgiving, are you?
All year round, mate.
No.
Pumpkin madness.
You're not there in summer. Oh, I really fancy a pumpkin pie, are you?
I don't think I've ever had a pumpkin
never had one. They just don't appeal to me at all.
I think Mum made one when we were young and it was awful and put me off. I think she microwaved it out one of those microwave know-how books that she had.
What are pumpkins? Are they a vegetable?
They're a squash.
They're a squash, yeah.
Like butternut squash.
Is that a vegetable? Or a
It's
fruit?
technically a
Veg.
They've got
vegetable.
pips, haven't they?
It's a gourd. Yes, you can scoop the pips out, roast them. They make a lovely, nutritious snack.
They do. I like
The
pumpkin seeds on my salad.
Yes,
Yes,
the
I like
flesh isn't. There's not a lot of flesh in it because it's very stringy. The interior, or the ones you get
Yeah,
at
it's
Halloween
very-
are anyway. But you can hold the flesh out, and it's like butternut squash. It has like a slightly earthy, sweet texture to it.
So do you have to put a lot of sugar with it in to make it a
I
sweet
would
pie?
put maple syrup in it myself.
Unlabeled.
Where would you get that
connoisseur.
from?
Unlabeled, found at the side of the road, maple syrup. It could be a trucker's
I
piss.
just put it
It could
directly
be
from the
maple
tree.
syrup. Yeah, I mean, I know people who've had it and said it's great, but I think the one that Mum made has put me off it, like fish pie. Just all that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I
I
love
can't
fish
even
pie.
smell fish pie now that
no.
being transported back to childhood.
That weird white sauce used to.
It's just, isn't it just like lasagna sauce, vegetable?
Oh, it
No,
wasn't.
it's got
It
parsley in it,
it
and
was
parsley is like
parsley
the
sauce.
worst herb.
And Joe's dog Gypsy, bless her, on fish pie night, she had 5 portions of fish pie under the table.
Trying to eat the potato off it in case it accidentally touched a bit of fish. Bad times. But
I
yeah,
like fish pie.
I just don't like. Anyway, again, this is not Indian Love Peninsula.
Are we at the farm now doing maple tapping?
It's the middle of winter. It's autumn, but let's show you how you can tap for maple syrup in the spring when the trees are ready. Like, we'll prepare you. Like, this is a test go of it. Load of kids, again, ADR kid noise on. It was terrible. And he's like, you put the spigot in, you put the thing on it. Great. And she shows up. And he's like, I've drilled all the holes in the trees. So literally, just go and put a tap in it and hang a bucket off it. We'll call that a day. Yeah, right.
Salted.
Put it in a bottle, leave it by the side of the road, done.
Yeah. Throw it at your enemies. And she shows up, and he's like, "Oh, well, I'll show you." Like, do you even know anything about maple syrup?
City girl, he says.
Yeah.
Well, I've just looked at the wiki page and
Yeah, well, and she's like, "Oh, well, you're supposed to put the tap into the side that gets the most sun. In which case, this would be the south." And I'm like, "Would it? East,
Yeah, I thought-
west sun, isn't it?"
yeah, but when you buy a house, you want to get a south-facing garden for maximum sun exposure.
Okay, I don't know. Like, so anyway, and she's like, "But you've put this on the north side. I think you got a compass in your shoe."
You imbecile!
Yeah, and
God,
he's
you
like,
might as well just be a nurse.
Yeah.
a man nurse, a maple nurse.
Maple nurse.
And he's like, look, it's not even like maple syrup season. This is just to show kids where maple syrup comes from.
But
And
then they
it's-
make maple syrup taffy as well.
That's much later on down the line. We've got all the kissing before that. The deep mouth, open tongued kissing. Load of shit happens. They ended up like more notes from the ghost of Aunt B saying, "Oh, today you should try." I can't even fucking remember. It was like going on a hayride together. And fuck off, you ghost!
And
Fuck
crown
off,
the
ghost!
crown the hay king.
Yes, and like they sort of start getting on. They agree to like. They again, this thing seems like no one's making money in this town because it's make your own confections and we'll judge them contest, and they give everything away for free.
Yeah.
They
And I'm
always
like,
do this in a Hallmark, though, don't they?
Yes,
Nobody's making any money. Or
Maybe everyone just donates 50 quid at the start and that's like all in.
possibly you got to charge tickets for your candy festival.
yeah, that's true. Not so charitable, are you, MD?
Woo! Do a kiss.
Buy your own
Do a Day 4, do a deep throat.
Pardon.
That might be day 5.
That's a very different one.
That's
the nighttime show.
Shagging Mr. Darcy.
Salty autumn. Anyway,
Oh, I've gone all pink.
I
now.
know. There's a load of bollocks. Jonathan, for some reason, shows up and he says to Dex, he's like, "Oh, well, this is the plan we've got."
The Taffy stuff's definitely before Jonathan.
Is it? All right.
Yeah, because they're still
But they
friendly
do-
at this time because they do like a ghost
Sexy taffy.
reenaction. Yeah, how to roll taffy. So he pours,
Oh, that.
he pours
yeah.
the taffy onto the hot
Ice.
taffy onto the ice, and then gives kids a stick and just says roll it up. But when then she comes to join in, he has to help her in a ghost style, arms around her, roll up a stick. And I'm like, I think she can do it.
Well, yeah.
On her own,
that little kid knew an awful lot about maple syrup as well. A little bit too much. I think she's a spy from Big Syrup.
She's a maple nerd.
A nerd, yeah. They've also at this point, have they made their chocolate at this point with maple syrup? She makes him chocolates that are salted caramel because you're a bit sweet and a bit salty at times. What does that even fucking mean?
It's from that deep throat.
Stop it! I'll relegate you back to last orders.
Then they go off to his happy place, and it's someone's backyard.
It's like a campsite-y thing, and
there's a house behind it.
Don't mind me.
So bloody hell, he's in again.
You know,
where him and Andy used to go all the time.
Once was fine, but
now he's bringing other people.
This is not a lending library.
Speaking of libraries, she calls him a closed book, and she goes, if I'm a closed book, that makes you an epic choose-your-own-adventure book.
Greatest line in the film.
And then they stare at each other meaningfully after that. Deep stares, I put.
Yeah.
I don't understand the metaphor of why she would be an epic choose-your-own-adventure book. I don't get the metaphors.
Because she's all for adventure. She's left the small town and done things with
She's been all the way to Minnesota. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
She invented pup slings.
Living a big city life. Also, choose your own adventure books are always bollocks anyway. You always kept your finger on the page that you chose from. Because you'd invariably go like, walk through the door or eat a sandwich. I eat a sandwich. The sandwich is poisoned, you die. I meant the door. Yeah.
So basically, he's just saying, if I'm a closed book, you're a piece of shit. You've got nothing to offer society. No one likes you.
Yeah.
They make s'mores and have a smooch.
They make s'mores. She once made so many s'mores that a bear attacked them.
But it was a raccoon.
And they laugh, and then we get big wet mouth kissing near a fire.
So no, first of all, though, they do this thing where they open up a candy and it's got it says something like "let go" and the freedom will flow inside it.
How do they know these chocolates?
Oh, I missed that one.
And then they decide to make up their own words of wisdom to put inside their candy, and she comes up with, your future starts today, not tomorrow. And then he goes, when in doubt, trust your instincts. And it reminded me, do you remember when he was in Bridal Wave, he did that thing where he said, if the ring's too tight,
don't get married.
Don't get married. And we were like, it sounds like it should rhyme, and it didn't. And it's like that, when in doubt,
give it a clout.
Whip it out in this case.
Whip it out. Anyway, so once they share their words of wisdom, say, for some reason, trust your instincts leads to a kiss.
Yeah, because she's like, I am attracted to you, but also the chocolate told me to do it.
The chocolate told me to live by free to flow.
Imagine getting lifestyle tips from a fucking box of Maltesers. Madness, isn't it?
But now they're friends, and now they do their cooking.
They do their montage of capitalism.
Yeah, ain't nobody gonna do the thing. Yeah.
Chocolate with maple syrup and a little hint of pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
It's hardly that inventive, is it?
Well, they've got to get Ella's pumpkinness in there, haven't they? You know.
Ella's there all day, dehydrating pumpkins for spice.
And then Jonathan turns up.
I think pumpkin spice doesn't even taste of pumpkins. I think it's just cloves and cinnamon and stuff.
It's just an autumnal taste.
Yeah.
For white women's Instagram.
It's not that nice. I had one, a pumpkin latte thingy, and I was just like, it's too sweet. I don't like it. I just like coffee. I don't like sweet things
much.
I got very into matcha, so like cold matcha tea with over like coconut milk. It's very nice.
So is that because you forget about it on the side? You got to drink it cold.
No, I make it. Put ice in it. It's like a little bit of honey in there to make it a little bit sweet. I could put maple syrup in.
Good.
I'm gonna check on the way to work tomorrow if someone's left me some.
Some unlabeled maple syrup.
On the
raccoon holding it.
On the gardens opposite my house, there's just a rat holding this.
Well, it's better than a celebration tin of eggs.
That was a good day. Oh, the man eating custard out of a jug with a big wooden spoon.
Was that not Ellie?
No, just, I was going home from work, just a man walking through Bolton with a plastic jug and a spoon, just eating custard out of it.
Oh, that's Bolton, isn't it?
Great days. That's where the eggs were. Like 4 days they were there, the
Where are
eggs.
we on?
Yeah, they
Just
made
going
the
off
thing.
the
They're
top
going to
of
enter
it.
this thing, and then Jonathan shows up, and he's like, "We've got the idea. We're going to market this across the world. Aunties in every town." And he's like,
Everyone's anti.
Yeah.
Anti.
I think at this point, hasn't Zach shown him? He's done a website and a label for the maple syrup.
Mysterious maple syrup, yeah.
Yeah, no, the dad did maple syrup, the label, didn't he? That was it.
Yeah.
Because it's just a load of dominoes and a tree. And he's done this thing and he says it's available for pre-orders. I'm like, who's pre-ordering maple syrup? You fucking
Great, there's a
lunatic.
maple syrup shortage. But does he have like 5 orders when they show him?
Yeah, and the brother-in-law was like, "Oh, put me down for 2 crates." What are you doing with 2 crates of maple syrup?
I
It
think he
lives next
bathes in it.
door.
Like Count Balzery.
He's going to keep it for a year and then sell it as an antique.
Ah.
Well, apparently it is. I'm reading about this in Canada. Like they have like reserves of maple syrup, and a tanker full of it went missing, and it's estimated to be at something like $700,000, like the value of the syrup inside. Because they just like someone hijacked this thing. I'm like, how are you going to offload? You can't go into a pawn shop, can you? And be like, do you want to buy a fuckload of maple syrup, mate? Here's
Just
a
leave it
bucket.
at
You can
people's
sample
doors
it.
unlabeled.
Rubbing it on his gums. Oh, that's good, that. Yeah.
The sister comes in, doesn't she? And she's like, "You kissed him immediately."
And she's like, yeah, I did. It were horrible. It's all sticky.
Just what Auntie wanted.
He had like that big light, like when spit.
Oh, no,
and It's all
no.
maple syrup.
And then bees attacked. Like Candyman.
That would have been better.
That would have been better. Yeah, Jonathan shows up and he's like, the maple syrup market is worth over 500 million a year. And Maggie goes, it is.
Thanks, Maggie.
And he's like, yeah, but that's not what we want. That's not what we agreed on. Like we were going to do like slowly catchy monkey, weren't we? And Jonathan's like, nope. So he has to stomp off. There's dextrose. And she's like, now what do I do? And the next day he comes around. He's like, here's the thing. I want to sell you my half of the business because that's not what I want.
I didn't think it was going to be this complicated.
Yeah.
So yeah, then they have the heart-to-heart about it all day, and she's like, "Has her let me explain."
Yeah, but it's not even like a proper let me explain. I don't think he was ever really intending to sell. I think it was just a show of fucking Mary Queen. And yeah, they go on like a hayride, but it's just full of pumpkins, which sounds even worse because you can't even sit on them.
You could. If you break it, you buy it.
Break it, you buy the pumpkin, seeds and all. And then they go to this fucking festival thing, and I don't bloody
They
know.
go back to the campsite thing.
Yeah, they go back
Like-
to Purcell's back garden.
So she figures out. I got really confused because I don't understand where the music box came back into it, but she figures out from the letters that he's got the key to the music box, so she
Yeah.
wants to try and find him.
Oh,
But
yeah,
this
but
key
he's
is like
lost
one
it.
of them that you had on your secret diary when you were a kid, and you could
It's-
just literally pull the padlock off. You didn't need a key for it.
No,
It's literally a square blank. You could pick it up from any Timpsons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, like you said, jab a curly grip in there. They've done it. And he's like,
So she-
oh no, I've lost the key on this campsite. And there's one guy in the back with a metal detector. It's my key now. That music box is mine. And all the wisdom it contains. And they're like, no, Auntie always kept copies of everything. Because we mentioned that earlier on, didn't we? Were you paying attention?
Yeah, the glasses thing.
Yeah.
There's a framed poem in the office.
Because she only knew one poem, did Auntie.
Yeah.
That and dirty limericks. That's all she did. Drunk on maple teenies. They rush in, they kick the door of the office open, and then a ghost attacks them. No, and they go up the thing, and it's just hanging there. And I'm like, this is low speed excitement. They open it, and it's
The
got the
owl
poem.
has been replaced.
Has it?
The owl's been replaced, and it's a picture of Aunt Dee. Because the poem's about an owl being wise or
Yeah, so
whatever, so she stuck a picture of herself on it like that.
I didn't see that. All I saw was them pick up Auntie's name tag that was inside it.
So
Yeah,
yeah, there was a
and
name
then the
tag
word-
and then a
Oh, I
Wrapper.
was too excited at the name tag. I wasn't paying attention to what was going on in the background.
What did she write on it? I just wrote the sly old bird.
She wrote something like, "If you two are reading this, then you means you found each other, and I couldn't be happier with my sneaky plans
Yeah.
come true."
Sneak.
Then Oda Mae Brown comes in from Ghost and it's like, Sam Wheat! Yeah. And then
And then it's boring. They don't know how to end this film, so they just kind of like do
It felt like that should have been the ending where they looked at each other and went, like that. But no, we cut to some more of the festival. Jonathan's walking around eating all the chocolates and doing his best face. Right? There's a kid throwing bean bags at a ramp. I didn't know what that was about.
It's a small town.
Must be an American thing. It's the classic game of beanbag ramp.
Chocolate number 9 wins the chocolate competition.
Yes,
which
not
has
even their competition. Not even their
cayenne pepper. That's not very exciting for a chocolate flavour.
Oh, in Aunt Dee's room as well, they found her secret Willy Wonka style notebook
Oh yeah,
of new ones.
yeah.
Icy mint, blueberry.
all with maple.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. So they've decided now that they will take some aspects of it nationwide, keep the store local.
They're gonna do a best of. They're gonna compromise, aren't they? They're gonna
Yeah.
do. I think they're gonna do an online store, and have like ones in major cities. I think, but they never actually specifically specify this. Then they get bored. Like, this is shit. This festival. We didn't even win. Jonathan ate all the samples. That's why. And they go over. Is that Aunt Dee's motorbike?
No, it's his motorbike because Aunt Dee's.
Right.
So
Right.
Oh, I don't know.
she reads another chocolate, very fortuitous chocolate. That
Does it
says,
say get on the motorbike?
It says, I know. I think she's lying. To be fair, I
is
think
lying,
it doesn't
yeah.
say it. She said it says. She says it says. Goodness. She said that it go. Oh my god, Benny, you say.
Let the lady drive.
Yeah. Let the lady drive.
And he goes, let me see that. So it makes me think like he's put on it like, will you marry me or something? And she's just
I
gone,
know.
nope, let the lady drive the motorbike.
Doesn't it just says deep throat question mark?
Cling to the fringe.
Let the lady drive.
No! You were talking about her hair before.
I know. So yeah, they get on the motorbike and they do the exact same lines that when they first met. She puts a helmet on over her fringe, which you don't need to do because that helmet could literally stop a fucking bison falling on you. Hold on tight. Oh, I will, he says. And then he doesn't even go, and give him a cheeky squeeze. Like. And then they just drive off and the camera pans back up to a tree and then the film ends.
Hooray!
Thank fuck.
I'm
It
sorry.
It was fun. There was lots of nice scenery in it, which I can distract myself with. But it was very generic. It's very run of the mill. So I'm going to give this 2 bronze bottles of found by the side of the road maple syrup that could be wee. We don't know.
Thick, gloopy wee.
Trucker's Tango, yeah.
I'll give it 1 pumpkin spice.
Just one.
Just one pumpkin spice.
I thought you were going to say 1 pup slink.
Oh,
1 dog with a broken back.
That's the width of a man's hand.
I'll give it 2.5 pumpkin pies.
Ooh.
So, my facts today. It was written by a bloke called Tyler Straisel. I want to say that's how I would phonetically read his name. Who's written for Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Parks and Recs, and The Good Place. And yet
Ooh.
somehow he's written this shit as well.
I mean, we've all got to make money, you know.
That's true, yeah. So, Nikki Deloach is Maggie, so she's the main character, and it seems that she's nearly been very famous, but not quite. Has either of you heard of her before?
No, her face looked familiar, but I think it's because she looked a bit like a lot of other people.
Yeah, I'd never heard of her, but so she's a Hallmark favourite. Her most recent one in 2022 was Dying for Chocolate, a Curious Caterer Mystery.
Oh.
She just likes chocolate.
Just caterer
Holy smokes! This calls for chocolate. The callback.
And IMDb lists her nickname as Nick. Makes sense, does Nikki? Peaches and Sunshine, and it has no reference anywhere on the internet why she's Peaches.
She keeps
called
getting her
Peaches.
ass out.
Covering it in maple syrup.
James has a nickname of Peaches that follows him around. So his surname is Priest. And so no relation to Peaches, but people mishear it and then nickname him Peaches.
Yeah, Priest, Peach. Yeah, I can see that.
So when
I
we
didn't know
met in the RPA, everyone was calling him Peaches there. And I think some will still call him because, yeah.
And he gets his ass out a lot.
And he gets his ass out all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
constant.
So this is where she was kind of almost famous. So she was on the all-new Mickey Mouse Club in 1993 with, you know, like the really famous one where Ryan Reynolds was in it, Britney Spears.
Yeah.
The latest.
Yeah.
So she was in that same crew. She dated JC from NSYNC, who was in it. So she was with him for 5 years, and is mentioned with using her nickname Peaches in NSYNC's first album.
No way!
Yeah. Almost favourite. So then she joined a band with Britney Spears called Innocence. Sense being like, like one of your 5 senses.
Yeah.
And was managed by Justin Timberlake's mum. It's very odd at this stage. So she's and they said that they misspelt innocence, so they didn't sound like a bunch of innocent 4-year-olds, which is odd. Britney then, obviously, as we know, famously went solo, and they would support her tours for a while, but they never did very well as a sister. So yeah, like so close to being quite famous. And then she married and had kids with Ryan Goodall, who was from a boy band called Take 5, who were minimally famous in America. Not to be confused with 5, which is what I went and looked at.
Not to be confused with the jazz standard Take 5 as well, yeah.
No, I don't know. So yeah, that's Nikki. So she's actually quite interesting, but then whereas Britney Spears, Christina, the rest of them got quite famous, she just went into major
She's
movies.
Maybe she really wanted to do that in the end.
Yeah,
the Kelly Rowland of the...
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess she avoided all the kind of drama with Britney Spears and Christina.
I reckon they're still mates.
Yeah, probably.
You know, like once you're in Innocence, you know, you're in for life, aren't you? They've all got matching tattoos. Of just an egg with sense written on it. Little sash. I don't know. I didn't know that. No, I mean, she's not terrible in this, but
No.
I guess it's
I don't
just like...
think she had the chemistry right with him, though. I don't know.
It just feels like... I imagine for her, she does like 6 of these a year, and you just burn through them, don't you? You've got like 2 weeks to film them. And you, right, next one. There's my check. Right, next one. What am I called in this one? What kind of store do I own?
Yeah.
Right. I hope it's chocolate, because I fucking love chocolate, mate.
So that's her. And then Dex, I've already done the facts for him in the past. So if you want to listen to those facts, please go back and listen to the Bridal Wave facts for Andrew W. Walker. But he does have a little story about being on set, so I thought I'd read that to you.
Gather round, children.
I like these because they're always bizarre.
Yeah. Andrew showed Nikki's husband, Ryan Goodall, from Take 5, around Winnipeg when he flew into downtown during production. I'm like, well, I actually got an extra ticket to the football game. It's Canadian football, but it's still pretty good, Andrew recalled. Cut to the second half of the game, I have, meaning Ryan, in a headlock. We're screaming at the game. It was an immediate connection. We had this great night. We ended up going to watch some more football, and the night, it never ended. We just kept on wanting more. And in the next morning, Nikki called me. She's like, "What did you do to my husband?"
His ass is bleeding.
He's all sticky.
Wait, you went to one football match and thought, I need some more of this.
I got him in a headlock.
Yeah.
You will love me.
We'll love it.
He could have been having a seizure behind it. We don't know.
Could have been.
Yeah, dragging him from sporting appointment to sporting appointment. That's good. He made a friend.
He made a friend. He tried hard with Ryan Goodall from Take 5.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look up Take 5 now to see if it's see what they were about. See who had the interesting hair in that one.
Yeah. I was really bored by this film, and I did have a quick Google of the most boring films listed. So, do you want to guess what NME said was the most boring film? Top
Ever.
#1 most boring film.
Oh,
Why?
I could be.
12 Monkeys, because there's no bloody monkeys in it.
Oh, no. It's a famous one, like really famous. You'll know it. Everyone will know it.
Titanic?
Sexier.
No, that's sexier than
Dirty
Titanic.
Dancing.
Oh, no. More recent.
The Shape of Water.
No.
That's quite sexy.
Oh,
Even sexier.
The grey one.
Yes, 50 Shades of Grey.
That's it.
I've never watched them. But,
No, I couldn't read the book. I read a page and I went, this writing is awful. So that was it then. I never bothered.
No, I've never watched it, but apparently there's no chemistry between them at all, and the whole story is very boring. Even though it's got sex in it.
Yeah, but the whole
Ties are up
isn't
and whips
the
and chains and stuff.
yeah, but apparently you don't see now, and like I don't know if you know this, but the internet exists. If you want to see that with bits and pieces going where they shouldn't be, then just Google that.
There's also a thing on Netflix called How to Build a Sex Dungeon.
Oh.
Is that on real Netflix or internet?
I think it's on real Netflix. But it's like, why are you recommending me that?
I don't know.
I don't want to watch that.
Yeah, the book was written as like a fan fiction.
The Twilight.
Yeah. So,
Was it? I didn't know
Yeah, it was never going to be, tremendously written, was it? I think because it was just a bit rude and a bit spicy, and middle-aged women were like, "Urgh."
It's supposed to be like the female fantasy, isn't it? Which I guess porn's
What, being all tied up and smacked about?
apparently by a rich bloke. That's the important bit.
So, no, so if a tramp comes up to you, you're like, no!
No.
Unless he's got maple syrup.
Oh, so many rules. I'm glad I'm not a woman. It's a nightmare. Cat suits alone. Yeah. Right. Any more?
Anyway, no, that's my facts.
No? Lovely stuff.
Minnie was just doing her little Disney bubbles then. So cute. Reviews were a bit samey. It was all, we love this. It's great. It's just what Hallmark does. And the rest were all like, oh, the chemistry, it doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. So I digressed and I found from Black Talon in January 2021, gave it a 10 out of 10 and titles it, What Was the Quote? So she had the words to the owl poem. I would like to know the complete quote. I liked it.
Oh, mate.
You just freeze the screen. You can read it.
Or just, Google it. That was 2021. But in October 2021, Mermaid Max responded, gave it an 8 out of 10 and titled The Owl Quote. She doesn't go into it straight away. Beautiful scenery. I didn't focus too much on Nikki's hair. Typical in some ways, very different in other ways. I feel like she has given this hair focus.
Yeah, she spent 2 lines talking about it when you could just not have.
Another reviewer asked about the owl poem, so here it is. A wise old owl lived in an oak. The more he saw, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Now wasn't he a wise old bird?
The less he spoke, the more he heard.
Ding, 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 ding.
3.10047.
But me Jewel, he didn't do one.
Oh,
Me Usual People hadn't
none of
watched
the classics.
this, so,
Outrageous.
Yeah. So I went for those two because the rest were all boring.
That's fine. In conclusion.
Just like the film.
Yeah. In conclusion, that was 2020's autumn.
Sweet
love,
autumn.
Sweet autumn love times. Fucking God knows.
I missed the cue to say my favourite line from the film.
I was just about to do it.
I know, but I mean, I didn't say it.
Oh,
During
well,
the thing.
do it now.
I'll do it right now.
Take us to the bridge.
So during the will reading section, she says, "No tears from you" to the sister, and then says, "A smile is a curve that sets things straight." A smile is a curve that can set things straight.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Count the wrinkles on the older sister's face.